When I read 1 Samuel 18, what really stands out to me is that Saul knew exactly what was going on. He knew the Lord was with David. He knew the Lord had left him. There was no confusion there. And yet, knowing God's will didn't change Saul's behavior. It actually seemed to make him more determined to hold on to the kingship. That's what keeps hitting me. Knowing God's will is not the same thing as doing God's will. Saul didn't suddenly stop believing in God. He didn't deny him. He didn't walk away from faith. What he did instead was try to manage the situation. He tried to keep control. He tried to hold on to what God had already decided to take away. And the harder Saul tried to control things, the more he descended into inner anguish, unable to find rest or clarity. When Saul offered his daughters to David, at first it didn't make sense to me. If he was afraid of David, why make him family? But the more I sat with it, the clearer it became. This wasn't kindness or reconciliation, it was strategy. Saul was trying to use relationships, expectations, and danger to do what he was unwilling to do himself. He wanted David close, exposed, and constantly fighting. He wanted the Philistines to kill David so his hands would look clean. And he was willing to use his daughters to do it. What's heartbreaking is that Saul could have chosen a different path. He could have humbled himself. He could have repented. He could have accepted that he had disobeyed the Lord and that the kingdom was no longer his to hold. How much more peace could he have had if he had just stopped fighting what God was doing? Instead, Saul spent the rest of his life resisting, not because David was trying to take the throne, but because Saul refused to release it. His determination to keep what God had removed only cost him more. David, on the other hand, responded completely differently. Even though God was clearly with him, David stayed humble. He didn't demand honor. He didn't rush the throne. He didn't retaliate. He trusted God's timing instead of forcing outcomes. And the contrast between them is so clear. The one who surrendered had peace, and the one who clung to control lived in constant unrest. This chapter really makes me look inward. It makes me ask where I might know God's will, but still resist it because it feels unfair, painful, or like something is being taken from me. Saul's story reminds me that clinging to control doesn't protect us. It robs us of peace. Saul's tragedy wasn't that he lost the kingdom. His tragedy was that he refused to let go. He wanted God's blessing without surrender, and that's just not how it works. This chapter teaches me that obedience isn't just about knowing what God wants, it's about yielding to it, even when it costs me something. Because fighting God's will only leads to unrest, but surrender is where peace is found.